Welcome to the Inspection Empire Builder podcast. On today's episode, we're talking about how we can build a healthy company with a husband-wife duo that is doing it right now. And welcome to the show. I'm so glad you tuned in today. Today we have a married couple who's been building their inspection business for quite some time. And I would love to introduce you and welcome guys to the show, Clay and Julie Houston. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, I know your last name is Houston, but are you located in Houston?
No, we are located in the Dallas market.
All right. So still Texas. All right. You guys are in Dallas, loving it. I know you guys have been doing the home inspection thing for a little while. How'd you guys get started? How long ago did you guys get started doing inspections?
I can let Julie explain it, but it basically came from the first house we ever bought. The home inspection on that house was terrible.
Yeah, it was the house of horrors, I guess you could say.
Oh no.
We were young. I was in college still. We had our oldest boy was almost 1 year old at the time, and we had looked at every single house. This was up in Chicago, and we finally found a house that we could afford. Now, this is when interest rates were about 10%, and the house was about $99,000 is all we could afford because I was a college student. And my mom, when she first walked into the house after we purchased it, 'cause we did it without any help, she's like, "Clay, what did you move my daughter and my grandson into? This is the money pit."
Oh,
and
no.
It was an older 1950s house, pier and beam, and we looked at it and we had it inspected, and there were certain things that Clay knew to ask the inspector, like, "Hey, do I need to be concerned about the fuses?" And he's like, "Oh, no, they're great. They're working fine." He's like, "Okay, the furnace looks pretty old. Do I need to be concerned?" And I know as home inspectors, we can't guarantee the life expectancy of anything, but the guy was like, "No, it's working like a champ." The night we moved in February in Chicago, snow on the ground, all of a sudden my sister's like, "Julie, it's cold in here." So we had everybody moving us in, and I was like, "Well," I'm like, "it's probably the door being open and all of that." And I looked, and in the kitchen I had already plugged in our microwave and set the time, and I noticed it was blank. I'm like, "That's weird. It's plugged in. Why is it not showing up?" Well, on the opposite side of the wall was a furnace, and the fuse for that furnace also was for the outlet of the microwave, and it blew.
Oh no.
So Clay and my stepdad ended up, jury rigging it, fixing it to have us have heat for the night. Had electricians out, and they're like, "Oh, you need to definitely upgrade it to breakers, and we recommend you rewire your whole house because it has aluminum wiring."
Oh God.
So fast forward a few months, because we did that. In May, you still need the heat, especially at nighttime. And we woke up one morning and it was cold, and I was like, "What now? Like, why isn't the furnace working?" Had to have HVAC guys come out, and they condemned our furnace. So it was one thing after another. Clay had also been doing some remodeling of the house. I was about to graduate college. His folks were coming in from Texas for the graduation party, and he had to save me with fixing a flat tire in the rain on my way home from school that day. So he got home, called his boss, saying, "I'm going to be late coming into work today." I had to help Julie, and as he's on the phone, I hear a drip, 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 and I'm like, "What now?" Above the kitchen sink, we had a water leak. The roof was leaking.
All right. So you got a fuse box that needs to be upgraded to that. You got aluminum wiring. You have a furnace that's now dead and all leaking. And how much, like in just the first couple months of the house?
Couple months. And Clay went up in the attic to see where he could find the leak and stepped on a rotten piece of wood and fell through the ceiling.
And you thought, I could do better job than this guy.
Exactly. So
yeah, I think that's great. Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I think I would be in the same boat. Yeah. I could do better than this. Yeah.
So a few years later, we sold the house. We moved back to Texas. We bought a newer house. Clay's like, "I'm not going through that again." Now, I do have to say, the house itself, we made a great profit on it. We sold it for like $40,000 more than what we bought it for within 3 years. And it was our family party house. Like, it had a great deck on the back of the house and a nice backyard and all of that. So it wasn't a bad house. It just, It was a house of horrors in the beginning.
But the surprises, like as home inspectors, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to eliminate the surprises. We don't want people to, that's kind of what we do. Like we go in and give them a condition of that building and right. We can't predict how long anything will last. We don't predict the future, but to be able to say, hey, the average furnace lasts about 20 years. This one's 43 years old. And to be able to say, you need to budget for a new one. Like, this isn't gonna this is a miracle. And so, it keeps splashing like holy water on or whatever, something like just keep praying for this thing, cause that happens all the time. You see a 43, 50-year-old furnace and you're like, yeah, all right. You need to know, this thing is not have much life in it. And, fuse box. Wow. That's surprisingly, I feel like, home inspectors have been calling out fuse boxes. And now you're doing better than that. And you guys, and what year did you guys start doing home inspections?
2005.
2005. You guys have been going for 20 years now.
Yes.
Congratulations, guys. Wow. That's awesome. What's interesting is so many small businesses fail within the first 2 or 3 years. Very few of them make it to 5.
And I didn't burn it down after those years.
Yeah. Right. And you guys made it 20 years in the business. That's very impressive. So congratulations to you guys on that for sure. So over the last 25 years, you've been building your business. I know this because we were just off-roading together out in the Ozarks. And so you had shared how, just like all businesses, there's seasons of growth and push and pull and lag. And you had a couple of just back-to-back weird events where you lost a few employees because they were moving or whatever life change was happening. And now you're building back up again. Is that correct?
That is correct. We lost 2 inspectors within a month in June for their own personal reasons. It had nothing to do with the business. It was just they decided to go part their ways.
Yeah, that happens. People change. We don't stay the same.
Back. Also, a call coordinator decided she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
So all happened very quickly, and then we've spent the last, let's see, till now 5 or 6 months, rebuilding that, maintaining the exact size business that we have, and because I think it goes to speak how healthy the business was to begin with, that we were able to maintain what we have and not shrink. In fact, we have now moved into a growth phase of the business for the rest of the year, which is the win right now.
Right. That's interesting. You just mentioned about the health of the business. I think that's really important. And I think, I don't know, sometimes we can talk about growing our business so much that we forget to take a moment and reflect and say, yeah, it's growing, but is it healthy? And those things can coexist, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes you are growing and it's messy. And, yes. And I'm saying that from personal experience because my business was growing very quickly in the beginning, and it was messy. But we got through the mess, and now it's, I believe, healthy. But how do you guys measure health of the company, and how do you hold on to that? How do you maintain that?
So I can speak a little bit about this, but Julie is where I usually defer on some of this stuff because Julie is an expert, I think, in knowing the health of our business and the profitability. So I'd like to talk about maybe profitability. Is your business or our business making a healthy profit?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we spending too much money in other places, things like that? So I think it's key to know the P&L sheet to understand that. Someone has to be looking at that is responsible to make decisions so that we know how we're using that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky enough that I have her on my team where she understands the health of the business, the physical health of the business at all times. And so as I'm the visionary and trying to do things and push forward, sometimes she has to put the brakes on me a little bit. Sometimes she lets me fly. But it creates a healthy business. Now it does, I'm not going to lie, it does create some friction between a husband and a wife when they're trying to do that as a business owners. Well, I was just going
to say, like, Julie, you got to chime in here. Like how does that work in the marriage where, you're working together and you're having to tell your husband, hold on a minute. Like, how does that go?
There's been a lot of times where he's like, I need to buy this tool. Can we do this? And I was like, I don't know if we can afford that right now. And, in the very beginning, it was more of like, how much money do we have in the bank philosophy, of
Yeah.
like, do we have money in the bank to pay for this? Okay. As opposed to looking at truly, like you said, the P&L of, what is our profit and losses, what's our income looking like and things like that. So I've had to teach him that we have to budget and do things. And there were lots of times where I had to push him too, of, bringing things in-house as opposed to outsourcing and to bring more revenue into the business. And, there's been lots of times, I told him like, well, if you hired me to be the business manager and help you grow this business, then you need to let me do that or you can fire me. So I think about every month or so, I'd be like, just fire me. If you're not going to listen to me, just fire me. But I'm still here, so he never fired me. But it's one of those things where I do look at the numbers regularly. I'm keeping up with my books on a weekly basis. I'm making sure I'm looking at the financial reports every month, going over some of those numbers with Clay, just trying to push the business forward. We've also do a version of Profit First where we set money aside every, for those that have never read the book Profit First, I highly recommend it. But it talks about setting up separate bank accounts. So every week we look at how much money did we make the week before, and I'll pull money out of a percentage. And in the beginning it was small, it was 1%, then it was 3%, then it was 7%, 10%. You just gradually work your way up and put that in a separate account. And then you also put money aside for taxes.
That's important.
Since we have 5 kids, we've always, for the most part, had tax refunds given to us. We had a really profitable year last year, and we got hit with a $20,000 tax bill. And normally I would have panicked. I am a fanatic about money and always worry about money, things like that, which, we're fine. I don't need to be worrying about it. But I think that's the culture I grew up in, of not, middle class, lower middle class household. So it's one of those things where I probably hoard it to some degree, but it's one of those where I had the money set aside for the taxes to pay that tax bill, and I had nothing to worry about.
That's awesome. That's a healthy business right there. Is that like financially speaking, financial health is like, when you have the money to pay the bills and you are anticipating, okay, we're going to have taxes. So we're setting that aside. I think the Profit First model is fantastic. I have implemented a kind of a modified version. And I think that's okay. I think, you look at these models of what people do and you're like, okay, well this all really works well for me, but this I'm going to just tweak this because it works a little better in my context for whatever reason. But I think that concept, the book is fantastic. Yeah, you're right. If you haven't read it, read it. But the financial health allows you to have health in other areas too, because now you have the resources to take, like you said, like now your family has a little bit more health in it because you can take your kids on a vacation or spend that kind of stuff, or even have like the time balance, right? You need to have a work-life balance. And, And so how do you guys navigate conflict in the office as a married couple? Like, does it extend to the home or does it, like, how does that work?
Well, we office in our home.
Okay.
Yeah. And we literally sit about 25 feet apart where we're sitting. And first thing, it's important to say there are places in the home, office, whatever you want to call it, that we don't talk business. I mean, it's like hard rule. You don't, like, for instance, the bedroom. We don't talk about business in the bedroom.
Yep, that's great.
If someone slips, because your mind is racing a little bit, and one of us slips a little bit, the other one basically just kind of gives you the other look and go, "Yeah, we're in the bedroom."
Yep.
That honestly was one of the best things we ever did. Now we've extended that to the dinner table.
Oh, that's good.
So we don't talk a lot of business. The kids here is talking about business, but we try to limit that. We don't want it to always be about business. We want to make sure that we're bringing them into the conversation and talking about what their day was like, because being a kid nowadays is pretty tough. So we got.
I can't imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have my daughters are teenagers right now, and the world they grew up in is very different than the world that you and I grew up in.
It truly is. We could have a whole hour conversation on that.
Yeah.
But so we've learned, hey, we even in the car, if the kids are in the car, we got to talk a little bit about business, but we try to quickly get off it. So business is for business times and personal time is for personal time.
And we don't hold grudges. Like if we have a disagreement, on work stuff, it stays at work. We don't let it influence our relationship as far as husband and wife.
That's awesome. I think that's really good. You guys have healthy boundaries in the relationship to be able to have like a work compartment and then like a family compartment.
Also, to add to that, I think we don't have as many disagreements as we used to, because I think part of IUB, we started taking the personality assessments and learning about each other and why she thinks the way she thinks and the way I think the way I think, my mannerisms and my behaviors. And when we learned that about each other, it's almost like you can predict it. Okay, I know exactly how, the why behind why she does the things that she does or the way I do it. And so now it becomes a joke about, oh yeah, you just want your thumb on that or something. So we joke around about it now because we actually understand each other's personalities and how they meld together. And I think that also speaks, and it goes into, I should say, the being able to run a healthy company is being able to understand that about each other. And our roles actually changing a little bit, where she's going to be more of a CFO type, where I'm going to be more of a general manager type. So I'm going to take over some of her responsibilities. And that means I have to give some of my responsibilities, hopefully, to a lead inspector soon. So yeah, understanding our roles, understanding that there's are things that just drain her, and I don't have a problem doing them. So I might as well do those and let her excel in the things that she likes doing.
And there's things about him that I've learned too. Like, I would always interrupt him because I wanted to ask him a question or something popped in my brain and I wanted to tell him about it. And he can't do that. Like, if he's focusing on something, he needs to finish what he's doing. So now I've learned to ask him, like, hey, can I talk to you right now? And he can tell me yes or no, and then I just back away. Or I'll say, let me know when you're finished, and then I'll tell him. So just little nuances like that has really changed the dynamic for us.
Well, yeah, and I think when you have employees, you kind of try to figure that out as best as you can, because part of, I think, running a business too is you have to, help your employees perform and help learn everybody's personalities in the office to try to make sure how we're connecting and communicating it. The fact that you guys do that as a married couple probably makes it, I don't know, maybe it doesn't. Does it make it easier to do that with your employees as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Normally when we bring on a new team member, I share with them my personality assessment to let them know what to expect from me as well. We go ahead and we go over theirs, but then I also share ours with them as well, so they know what to expect and how to work with us. Like, I'm very detail oriented. So if they're going to come to me with something, I need all the details, where Clay is more bullet point. So if they're going to go to Clay, they can just run down a few things with him, but I want more information.
Right. No, that makes sense. Have you guys read that book, Rocket Fuel?
No, it's on my list.
Okay. That book, you guys should read that together, right? That is my 2 cents. I love that book. So there's typically every wildly successful company normally has a pairing between a visionary and an integrator. And the visionary sees the vision, the integrator sees the details and how to implement that vision. And just talking with you, it sounds like Clay's more of the visionary and Julie's more of the integrator in the relationship. And if you can get a visionary and an integrator on the same page, they typically build phenomenal companies and get lots of great things done, in whatever field that they're in. And you can see, like, for example, Steve Jobs with Apple, he's passed away now, but it was him and it was Tim Cook, who's now the current CEO. But the two of those guys together turned that business around in a pretty major way, because Tim was the implementer and Steve was the visionary. And so I think it's really cool that you guys are embodying that. I think that book would speak to you guys really well.
Sounds like
we'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, you got to let me know. I'm like fascinated now. No, I get excited about it when you see people that are paired up the right way. I'm more of a visionary. I'm pretty hardcore visionary. And then I have Danny, who's my general manager. He's very much an integrator. He's the details, get it done, like put the pieces together, make it happen guy. And I'm like, what if we did this, And he's, yeah I'm sure I drive him nuts.
I'm sure you do, because I think that's the conversation I have with her all the time.
Clay, you're the one with the big vision. Like, what if we did this? And Julie's the one saying, like, how are we going to pay for it? And is it profitable?
Sometimes I have to tell her, hey, I'm just talking out loud. I'm just saying this because I'm thinking about it. I'm not saying I'm going to do this.
Right. Verbally processing. Yeah.
Play. You're giving me a migraine. Come on.
That's so funny. Yeah, I love it. But I'm that way too. And I think as a visionary, we think all of our ideas are pretty good, because like I have all these brilliant ideas all the time. And I need the integrator to go, don't crush my ego, but be like, oh, that's maybe. And they go, that's the one, because the integrator is the one who's able to go like, okay, that might be that. And sometimes you're like, that idea is terrible, but the integrator is normally the one that goes, that's the one we should do out of all the stuff that's spewing out of the visionary's mouth. And, it's important to have that kind of thing, and have that kind of dynamic in your office.
I think so too.
Yeah. So, all right. So you guys are building this business. It's going pretty good. You're able to now take care of your family in a better way. It sounds like you have a really good work-life balance too. Is that accurate?
I would say so.
Is there such a thing as work-life balance? I'm not sure if there is. We can try as hard as we can. But I don't know if you ever really get it.
I don't think it's yeah. But how do you guys do that? How do you guys navigate 5 kids? You're working in the business together. How do you navigate the work-life balance?
It's been tough. I know that this past year I've gotten a lot of clarity. So for me, this year I've realized like what parts of the business do I want to keep doing? What business components do I want to delegate or give to somebody else so I can have a little bit more time? Because as I said, like we've been doing this for 20 years. I joined the business 11 years ago, and I feel like my kids have suffered and like they've grown up, and even though I'm there to take them to school, pick them up, go to field trips, things like that, I still feel like the business has absorbed all of my other time. And so by this, I'm like, we still have 4 of the 5 kids at home. 2 of them are adults now, but they're still under the house, under the roof. But for me, I want to be as visible and as present as I can while they're still here. And so I've kind of come to the conclusion that I don't need to justify working 40 hours a week. If I can get my stuff done in 20 or 30 hours and be there and be more present with my family, I can. And that's why I'm starting to do things that I want to start building more memories with them. But yet I don't want to pull away from the business completely either, because I know my value in the business. So that's where I'm at this year. And that was kind of my word. I always pick a word every year. So a couple years ago, it was being the best version of myself. And then this year it was clarity. Next year, my word is joy.
Nice.
So that's how I do it, and try to make sure that I'm at a happy medium. But I had to come to that conclusion myself and come to that clarity. And I did that by going on a silent retreat. So I went away for a couple days and just did a silent retreat, and had conversations with God, and kind of worked through it, and then came back to Clay and just had that open communication with him. We've always had pretty good communication, and so just communicating where I felt I needed to be and being there more with our kids. And one of our boys, we actually pulled out of public school system in February, and he does virtual school now too, because his mental health was an issue with being bullied. So that's also allowed me to be more present with him and being able to acknowledge where he was at and make the right decisions and pathways for him to be successful as well. So that's kind of where I'm at with it, of just trying to know what my kids need as well as the business, and try to have that work-life balance that doesn't really exist, but do it to the best of my ability.
Yeah, I hear you. And it's always attention. I don't think there's, if you find the perfect balance, give it 20 minutes and it's out of balance again, right? Like it's, I don't think there's ever like the perfect, but the fact that you're putting effort into it like that is really cool. Clay, what do you do to help manage all that?
Well, first of all, I want to touch on something she said. She came back from that retreat and she told me what she needed. And I mentioned this at the mastermind last week, but if you are working with your spouse, or even if you're not, if you're working with a close friend, somebody that's actually close to you in your business, if they say something like that, you need to listen. And you need to listen, and you need to, let's make it happen. Right.
Right.
Right. Because otherwise you're going to lose that person completely. right?
Yeah.
And for us, obviously being a married couple, then it becomes a friction point in the marriage too. So it's important to listen to your partner in your business, and especially the partner in your life. Sometimes they're the same people. But for me, I go stir crazy. If I'm in the business too much, as far as, just day to day, making decisions, things like that, I need to be outside a little bit. That's one thing I always loved about actually doing the home inspection. It was out moving around. It was always something different. But when you're actually operating the business, maybe in an office, maybe you're having to drive around a little bit, but still I get a little stir crazy. So I have to go out and do something. So that means either like going getting outdoors and going fishing on the weekend, or the latest and greatest was going overlanding and going off-roading with you guys.
That was fun.
I've totally gotten the bug on that. I'll have to show you what I'm looking at later. Yeah, I'll send you a message.
That sounds good.
It's driving me crazy.
But we had so much fun. Like, we're four-wheeling like that. And it's so fun to do those activities, like with people who are like-minded in the same business. And
it was therapeutic for me.
Oh yeah. I got so much out of that trip. It was wonderful, and for those of you listening that aren't part of IEB, that's one thing that is really cool. We've had different clubs and different things inside of the organization that you can join. So there was a skydiving club for a while. I don't know if you guys saw that. I've been skydiving
because I have a picture of my son, Carter went with us, and of him in the driver's seat, driving Greg Bryan's vehicle.
Yep.
And the ear-to-ear grin was more than I'd seen in a long time.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, not to get emotional there, but it was an emotional experience. And so that's why, we're going, and we're going to keep going doing that because it's a lot of fun. But that's how I have to have that balance. I have to be able to go do those kinds of things, kind of like doing sketchy stuff in four-wheel drives on the side of a mountain.
Yep.
Thank goodness for the tree that didn't let me roll down the tree. I'd gotten to the point where I was about to drive her nuts if I didn't go do something. Because we had been spending the last 4 to 6 months rebuilding this thing, and with a lot of stress, a lot of work, just holding that momentum was not easy.
Right.
And so I think I was showing, not trying to, but I was showing that it was wearing on me some. So she said, you got to go let loose. And then to be able to take one of my kids with me, you're talking about having a business where you can give things to your kids that you never got to do. That's pretty special.
Right. Yeah.
Because I couldn't have done that without the business. So
yeah, I took my daughters to Costa Rica this summer, and on just a crazy fun, awesome vacation, and having a business that provides for your family like that is really good. Yeah. That's a healthy business that starts to create a healthy family with healthy memories. And I think it's so important. And like the whole profit first idea, it all comes from back to that. Like you start thinking, okay, well, profits first, then what else? Well, you know what? Families first. You start to kind of like put your priorities in the right line, and then you start to design and engineer systems that help create that. And having a supportive spouse saying, get the heck out of here and go four-wheeling with your buddies is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, he was on the verge of burnout, and I was like, he wanted to do a solo trip of some kind of his own, like camping or whatever, before we lost the other inspectors in June. And so then that happened, and that forced him to go back in the field temporarily. And so when that came up, I was like, we had just hired some other inspectors, and I was like, you know what, you need to go. He was, I think, almost beyond the burnout mode. So I was like, you need to go, you need to unplug and have fun.
It's nice to have a spouse that sees that, recognizes that, and then encourages you to take the best care of yourself. That's really good.
Yeah. It's a special thing, but it goes two ways. With the Women of IAB group that they have, when that retreat comes around, it's hands down. It's like, as soon as they mention it, it's like, did you sign up yet? And I mean, it's not, are you going to sign up? It's like, did you sign up yet?
I love that.
And so sending her across country to San Diego or Colorado or wherever they've gone, so she can put her feet in the Pacific Ocean and see the dolphins out swimming in the water out by her room. That's special,
That is.
So
that's really great. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you guys are doing a really good job at building a healthy business, and in all these different fronts and all these different avenues. It's really encouraging to talk to you guys and hear you guys doing that. because that's something that I think a lot of companies try to do but struggle with.
Thank you. It takes work, but it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. Yeah, and it's cool to see you guys on the phone calls. Even this morning there was a entrepreneur group phone call, Zoom call thing, and I don't know. It's just cool to see couples working really well together in the business like that. It's encouraging. There's a few of that. There's a bunch of that happens inside of IEB. There's a bunch of couples in there you see doing it, and so it's a great culture within IEB. And then it's just really great to have you on here and telling your story. I imagine there's people listening that are gonna be like, "Hey, how'd you do this? How do you navigate that?" Mm-hmm. If someone wants to get a hold of you guys and ask more questions about how do you have healthy balance, whether it's financially or family wise or whatever else, if they want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do it?
I'll give out our number, 972-921-8454. Call that number, ask for me or Julie, and tell whoever answers the phone it's a personal thing, and they'll get a hold of us. They'll transfer you or whatever. So, but 972-921-8454.
That's awesome, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for being on the show today. It's been good hearing your story, and I can't wait to see you around on the next event or maybe on a podcast again in the future.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure, Matt.
Thanks. You. Bye.
Bye.